Welcome with Jesus Bible Study. We're going to be in the book of Psalms, chapter 118, verse 24. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm going to repeat that. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. How many people love that song? I mean, it's up there with one of my favorite songs. And this song, the person, the psalmist that is writing this verse right here is celebrating all that God is, God's love, his provision, his protection, and his mercy. No matter what the enemy comes against and throws at him, he is going to rejoice and be glad in the Lord. The scriptures tell us in all things we should be giving thanks, that we should find joy in our pain, in our sorrow, in our misery. We got to be able to find a way to be rejoicing and be happy, because it could be worse. Now, it's hard to do that when we're going through some things and life has just hit us, and when you've lost a loved one or got a terminal illness or your kid was taken from you. You know, there's so many horrific things that can happen to a person in life. And to say, hey, you should be happy in that, rejoice. How dare you say that to somebody during that time? But the scripture says that we need to be glad in all things and rejoice in all things. Now, I don't recommend you going to somebody who's going through something like that and say, hey, shake it off. You need to find a reason to be glad. You need to leave that to that person and the relationship with God and give them a moment and let them. I don't recommend you doing that. That's not what I'm saying at all, because that's just rude, and that is something, when somebody's going through a personal thing, that is a personal thing between God and them, and it's none of our business. We don't need to be telling people how to act, how to grieve, and what to do, for that is a personal, means it's none of your business. But you are supposed to be supportive. You know, when Job's friends came to visit him when he was going through everything, the only thing they did correct was the first 3 days was sit there and be quiet, and was just there. We don't need to speak. We just need to be there. But we need to remember that we're not supposed to lean on our own feelings or our own understanding of why God allows certain things to go through, because we can't see the beginning or the end, because we're too busy stuck in the middle and can only see day by day and what's in our face. So we're not going to be able to understand why certain things happen to happen. Some people can look outside of their own situation and be like, I don't clearly understand, but I know that there's a reason behind this, and God's got to have a good reason for doing what he is doing. But to be joyous and to be happy is a very hard thing to do, and it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength and a big heart. A big heart. To rejoice in the Lord when we're going through some things. Some people like to, you know what? There's some people who have it worse than me. And in that reason alone, it gives them the courage and the strength to just be a little bit thankful for the situation that they're going through. But every day we're supposed to be grateful. Every day we're supposed to be thankful, because God gave us this day. He didn't have to wake us up. He didn't have to let us live, but he did. The biggest problem that the Israelites had being in the wilderness was not being content or being thankful or grateful for what they have received and what is going in the situations that they was going through. all they could do was complain, complain, complain on top of everything. It may not have been much, but they was eating bread from heaven. And they complained about, oh man, how we wish we was back in slavery because at least we got to eat onions. Now I'm not making that up. That's in the Bible. They was wishing they had onions. Crazy, right? But that just goes to show you just how ungrateful people can be. They got tired of it. They wanted meat. Now, if they would have thought about it, of course, God rescued them and saved them. So why would he let them thirst? But yet, did they think to keep their mouths closed and be thankful? Or did they just think, oh, let me complain and say, you know what, God, why would you do this? This was to die of thirst. That is rude because he wouldn't do all that. He wouldn't do all these miracles and take them out of there for them just to die of thirst. So to say that was like a slap in the face to God. Not only just being ungrateful and complaining, but that was a slap in his face. Their complaints was a smack in the face. Oh, we just rather die. We'd rather go back into bondage. They'd rather belong to the world instead of being God's chosen. It's sad and it's heartbreaking. We cannot be judging what other people go through and how they react to their situations because we are not in their shoes. We don't know. We would like to think that we would act and do a certain thing and be a certain way. But we haven't lived the life that they had led before that situation came about. And each factor and each turning point in your life that you have gone through, when certain things come to you, plays a factor on how you will react to certain things. See, to some people, they've been through hard times and been through some things. So some things, when they come around them, it's like, oh, this is no big deal. It's not a big problem. And there's some people who's never experienced hardship before ever in their life. And here comes this little bitty thing happening to them, and it's the end of the world. And then somebody who's been there through some things looks and says, oh man, you need to quit being so weak. You can't do that. Because they haven't had the buildup that you have. This is their first come around. Of course, it's going to be a big dramatic thing for them. So you cannot always judge people because you have gone through it and oh, it wasn't so bad. They are not you and you are not them. Everybody has their own things. What works for one person is not going to work for another person. So to say this is the correct or the wrong way to do something, it's not your life. It's not your lesson. God's not teaching you at the moment. He's teaching somebody else. All you can do is share your experience and help and just give God the thanks that you are alive to be able to go through such things, to be able to learn some new things of your life and to be created, to be getting, to build your character and the things that you were supposed to learn through the situation that you're going through. Yeah, I know sometimes just because you lost somebody, it's like, oh, what is that lesson is that supposed to teach me? You don't know. God has a reason for everything. We're not always meant to know and understand the reasonings. We're just supposed to always trust and put our faith in Him and know that everything turns out for the good.